Nice. Oh, okay. Hah? Start pukul sekarang 8:30 sampai pukul 8:30 malam. Boleh. Apa dia? Kursi meja mana? Ambil. Ambil 3. Ya. Tak tahu lah kau tak beritahu tidak ambil. Okey. Tak apa, boleh alih je. Boleh tak minta orang banti tu? Saya punya team semua full. Dan tak ada, kalau nak set awal.
The business information is missing in your folder.
Thank you.
You don't have folders, right? All right.
How's this one? Yes. Yeah, then can you set the 30 minutes start when there's the most important one? Yeah, you can stop, yeah. But you have like a window of 5. Okay? 10 minutes. Okay, there you go. It's a screensaver. It's called a screensaver. Okay. Do you need this? The hard drive?
Afterwards, I think.
I'll just keep it with you, Oh, nice.
Dia panjang.
The link is the one that you set up itu kan? Because we send all to the investors.
Yeah, it's in your YouTube.
Okay.
YouTube channel.
Dah. Yes.
2 minutes of flashing light. Yeah, that's it.
The keeping is basically so I'm gonna, so you can just yeah, I'm gonna get this alien screw. So yeah.
Hormone.
Huh? Already. Empty. Or it's just flash. We put this really operating as a flash point. I can Yeah, no, we don't spend anything on marketing at all. Just word of mouth and then WhatsApp image of our offer and so forth. Facebook, Instagram. Just repeat customer and then just people sharing and forwarding. Do you track your customer? Yes, we are now at 60 to 66%. So it's good.
What's good?
Correct.
And I think underutilized as well. So that is good. You don't have to. I think it's Phoenix.
No.
But you can use it. It's open to, I think, recognized organizations to use the facility.
No.
It's great. Great space.
Later on,
Nice
when we get
outside, nice surroundings.
the funding, we want to do campaign like free delivery.
Good morning, everybody. We're gonna start in a couple of minutes. I'm just waiting for Chairman Omarche to come back, Atun Raini, and then we'll start. Okay? Yeah.
Because in Pasar Bukit, if you compare with Tesco or Giant, ikan kembung, ikan selah, it's a fraction of the price. And it's so fresh because they get it in the morning. And then we customize our
wanna switch it back on?
to the locals. Let's say during bulan puasa, we cater to the puasa menu.
I didn't notice you doing that.
Get the whole lorry of Musang King. So that's why our customer like us. We're not just selling.
You guys good? All good. Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming to Atta Plus's first pitching pit, we call it. And I think if some of you sharp-eyed people would have probably seen in the circular that we sent out to you that the design was very much in the form of a gladiator pit. And it's not because we look at you as lions, but we look at these guys more as emerging champions. So now this is a preview. We are an equity crowdfunding platform, so by definition we are an online play, if you like, more than an offline thing. But we think at this juncture, where we are with crowdfunding, equity crowdfunding specifically in Malaysia, we still need to have a little bit of that human touch that to begin with and everything else. So you are the first. Today we have 3 sessions today. We got 3 very exciting companies to present to you. This is a preview, so you're the first ones amongst the 3 groups, 3 sessions that we're having. So you're getting the first mover advantage of the first mover advantage. Okay, so hopefully you like what we got to show you and everything else. Now the whole thing about crowdfunding as opposed to other types of funding is supposed to democratize, if you like, investments. It has grown, I think, after it did take off after the financial crisis of 2008, but a lot of companies, and it came from the US and UK, a lot of companies couldn't get funding, especially from traditional funding sources, for example, like banks and everything else. So it has grown quite substantially from that. And I think one of the things that is tapped on to is the fact that for business, anybody, for an entrepreneur, it's never been easier to start a business. I think we've all seen people working at Starbucks or any kind of cafe. I think with a laptop, with a smartphone, you can start a business anywhere now practically. And you've got Silicon Valley has done us all a favor by investing in all these wonderful new technologies, social media included, and that allows us to scale up very, very quickly. So we're seeing tremendous growth in entrepreneurship and small businesses and everything else. So much so, for example, like a country like in UK, I know they've gone from just under 1 million small businesses to 6 million in a small amount of time. If we were to, that's about 10% of the UK population now. If we were to relate that to Malaysia's case, we should have almost 3 million small businesses. Currently, right now, we just have just under 800,000, I think 700,000. So you can see the upside potential for small businesses, and you're going to find that. Some of the companies here you're going to see today are exploiting, if you like, the new technologies and creating little niches and opportunities in terms of some of the efficiencies. Now, okay, I just look at some of the things so I don't make sure I don't miss anything out. That's important to say. Okay, just before I introduce the first company, just like a little bit of a show of hands. Okay, how many of you have actually ordered online anything and had it delivered on the same day?
Delivered same day?
Same day.
Yes, because if you do something from Amazon, you see, Amazon can take a week or something to come 2 weeks. I'm talking about something delivered on the same day. Ordered online, get it delivered on the same day. You've all okay. So some of you have experienced that. Great. How many of you have actually done any crowdfunding investments? Anything? Okay, whether it's Kickstarter, donation-based, reward-based. 1, 2. Okay, wonderful. So you've had a bit. Okay, how many of you have heard or familiar with distributed ledgers or blockchain? Put your hand down. Okay, great, wonderful. So, so I won't give away too much in terms of the companies we're going to be seeing today. I'll introduce the first. Let's get on the show. You don't want to see me here for me too much. We'll get to the first company. Okay, Pasatap, right? First company. Correct. Okay. Now they use fresh in their tagline, and I think it's the underlying, if you like, value proposition of them. No, and also in terms of appearance, they're all fresh young men. So I think I'll let them take over. Okay. So, thank you.
Hello, a very good morning, guys. My name is Haikal Talib. I'm the co-founder of Pasatap. And this is my colleague, Andy Osman. He's also our board of advisor and soon to be our chief digital officer. So before I start the presentation today, can I just get a show of hands from the audience? Who has been to their local pasar in the last week or so? So you guys are quite in the minority, and I totally get it, because we are so used to hypermarkets and also the modern grocers. I even go to the Ben's grocer, Mercato, Village grocer, that we forget about our pasar. But let me share you with a story. One day, my mother called me up and said, "Hi Carl, I want ayam kampung, daging batang pinang, and also ulam-ulam." And of course, being a good son that I am, I went about. I went to the hypermarkets and also to the local mom and pop shops. So apparently, it's not easy to get these products. So I did the next best thing. I called up my childhood friend, Hafiz Hashim, also a partner of Pasar Tab. He has been in the F&B business for the past 15 years, 14 years. So he has opened so many restaurants that he's at the pasar almost every day. So I called him up, "Hey bro, my mother is asking for all these products and I couldn't find it. Can you help, buy it? And we live nearby. Can you just deliver it to my mother?" And true enough, he actually delivered to my mother within hours. And my mother was so happy because of the product quality and also because of the prices. And being, my childhood friend, I took advantage of him. So there were a number of times I actually called him up, "Hey, can you please deliver to my mother and this to me?" And then it hit us. Then we hit the eureka moment, whether this is a business and whether this is something that we could grow. And according to Hafiz, this is a real business, but he doesn't have the capacity to grow into its own. That's why I'm partnering with him right now. So in November last year, we went to Pasar Choket and we approached about 40 suppliers. And about 15 suppliers came on board with 1,500 products uploaded into our platform. So in December, just to validate and try our idea, we offered our services to our friends and family. So in December, you can say that we kind of started out Pasar Tab as an idea, and we had a user base of about 200 to 300 among our friends and family, and the response was fantastic. So we believe that the idea was validated because these, our friends and family, they kept on coming back. They bought from us, not just once a week, but sometimes 2-3 times a week. So we believe that this service is really needed by the end consumer. But the question remains, what's with the pasar? What's the deal with the pasar? And what's the value that we're going to tap from the pasar? As business owners, we believe that the pasar is the heartbeat of the community. There are tens and thousands of pasar in the region, and there are literally 232 pasar in Kuala Lumpur alone. And we all know that, that the pasar has the freshest produce, and some of the product, the prices are more competitive than anywhere else that you can find in the market. But we understand this is the pasar. It's unregulated, it's uncomfortable, it can be messy. That's why we believe Pasar Tab is a solution. We are your trusted and experienced provider that can actually guarantee fresh produce to be delivered to your door, on same day or within minutes. So in a nutshell, this is our service currently that we're offering to the end consumer. So we have about 2-hour delivery time. Our delivery fees is one of the lowest in the country. Our next best competitor, they offer free delivery. And then we deliver up to 25 to 30 kilometer radius, which covers about 60% of Greater Kuala Lumpur area. And we're open from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., which is even better than your normal pasar. So we were gung-ho, we were happy with the response that we received. So in March this year, we actually launched our beta version. We had a better website with the help of Andy. And then we had about 4 riders and about 4 buyers. And then we developed on how to choose our buyers. These are our specialists, our trade buyers, which have been trained by our product specialist in-house, which is Hafiz Hashim. And through that process, we have developed the shopper scorecard, where we look into the quality of the products, the connectivity to our system, or the usability of our system, and also the turnaround time of our shoppers. And not just that, because of our intimate knowledge of the business and our close relationship with the suppliers, we have also developed the supply scorecard, where we actually measure our suppliers, the prices, and also the quality of the produce. So this is the traction after we beta launched in March this year. 66% customer returning rate, 137 website views, 300 app downloads, although it's very small, but we did not launch it to people actually. So it was through word of mouth. We have never launched it, and our sales actually quadrupled. And this was all done with zero marketing dollar or zero marketing ringgit. So this is our immediate growth plan. We have projected in Pasar Coket alone, we can, Pasar Coket has the capacity to manage about 100 to 150 orders per day, and that translates to 360,000 worth of turnover per month, and about 4 million total revenue per year. And our immediate plan is, we believe that we have created an operating system that can, be expanded into another 3 more pasars in Kuala Lumpur. So you're talking about Pasar Selayang, Pasar Sri Selangor in Serdang, and also Pasar Bukit Raja in Klang. These are all big pasars. You can call it the wholesalers. And we have existing business relationship with them. So a total sales from 4 pasar in the first year, we're targeting about 8.4 million total revenue. And in the second year, we will have presence in about 3 cities in the Peninsular Malaysia, namely in Johor Bahru and in Penang. And our total sales will be around 15.8 million ringgit. And in year 3, we believe we will have the resources and also the capacity to actually expand to Indonesia. One thing that is important to note is that there are about 85% product similarity between Malaysia and Indonesia. And not resting our laurels on just pasar products, we are also going to introduce our premium line. So essentially, we're going to incorporate also products which are direct from the farms, and you're talking about Musang King from Raup. You're talking about Ikan Patin from Temerloh. You're talking about the vegetables from Cameron Highlands, seafood from Kuala Selangor, and also meat and poultry from farms at the periphery of Kuala Lumpur, 100-kilometer radius from Kuala Lumpur. And not just that, we're also going to have a sizable range of halal and organic products to give more variety to the end consumer. And just to share, we just did a Musang King campaign, I think last week. In one day alone, we have received about 240 kg orders on that one day. So that shows that people really want all these direct from farms products at a very competitive price. So after outlining all the plans and our vision, so what is the future? What can we expect when we move forward? So number one, the main theme right now is for us to build the pasar community, to rebuild the pasar community. So number one, we're talking about networking the farms, the wholesaler, the medium and small retailers, our shoppers, our riders, and ultimately to the end consumer. We are building a new supply chain, ladies and gentlemen. So that's why in building this pasar community, we require 1.2 million ringgit in exchange for 10% equity of the business. So in quarter 1, we're going to spend about 575,000 ringgit to actually build the necessary infrastructure to provide the complete service to the end consumer. And on second quarter of the first year, we're going to spend about 350 ringgit to expand to Penang. And in quarter 3, we're going to in quarter 3, we're going to need about 275,000 ringgit to expand to Johor Bahru. So this is what we're going to spend it on, in a nutshell. So we believe that whatever that we achieved so far has not been possible without the team that we've assembled. Currently, our CEO, Hafiz Hashim, is our in-house product specialist, as well as our supply chain experts. So we are leveraging on his knowledge on the products and also supply chains. And he's quite experienced. Don't be fooled by his baby face. And I'm Haikal, I'm the CFO. I have experience in non-profit and also central bank. And my great-great-grandfather is actually a pasar monger at Pasar Coket and also Pasar Jalan Batu. Right now it's called Pasar Jalan Tukar Brahman, if I'm not mistaken. And the third one is our CTO, Ahmad Khairil. He's actually a master's graduate from the University of Oxford. So basically he brings in his knowledge about the technology requirements that this business needs actually. So apart from that, we have received, wise wisdoms and sage advice from these two board of advisors. Of course, it's Andy Osman. He is a .com expert. He has been in New York for the past 14 years. So he brings to the team his knowledge on digital marketing, on how to introduce very edgy campaigns and things like that. And secondly, we have Azila Tunku Aziz, who's a technology policy specialist. He's going to help us with Pasatap into the digital economy in the coming future. So before I end, ladies and gentlemen, let me just reiterate that Pasatap has the potential to actually game change the way we procure our fresh goods, the way we consume our products, and thirdly, to revitalize the old economy that have served us generations after generations. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, we believe that Pasatap is about anticipating the future. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I believe we have questions.
Any questions, please? Yeah. We open it up for.
Before I start, let me just introduce, this is Andy Osman, one of my colleagues, and I'm going to call up our CEO, Hafiz Hashim, so that you can ask about how do you choose ikan merah, fresh ikan merah or fresh ayam kampung.
My first question.
Sure.
Have you approached Pharma?
Yes, we have.
So what's their response on, because Pharma did this, I stay in Melawati, and Pharma, I mean, of course, yours is much more structured program. Theirs a bit crude approach, which they have survived for many years, but the return is very small. I don't know. What was their response when you approached them on this week, Pharma?
It's Pharma, not Farmer.
Pharma or farmer?
Pharma.
Okay, actually, Pharma has actually.
So they have, they have their pasar in Melawati.
Okay.
They have in Danau Kota, just because I stay around that area.
Sure.
I'm not sure. I think they have in Shah Alam, maybe Islam. I mean, as Mr. Islam. I know in Labuan they did the same thing as well. So they have few places, and they also does things like you, but in a more traditional way. It's
Yeah.
not
Pasar Tani.
Yeah, it's Pasar Tani.
Yeah.
It's more Pasar Tani.
Yeah. Okay. Pharma has actually approached us, and they really want to work with us. So of course, they have their own panel farms that they want to supply to us. But we told them we are going to direct to farms products in the near future once we have received our funding. But essentially what we're going to do with them is that we're going to map out the farms under their list. So we're going to map it into our system first, number one. And secondly, we want to make sure that we have the necessary logistics arrangement, because we're not going to do same-day delivery for direct from farm products. These are all premium products. So what we're going to do right now, off the cuff, is we're going to compile all the orders until, say, Thursday. So we're going to deliver during weekends. So this is how we're going to engage with all these farms. So to answer your question, that is how we're going to incorporate Pharma and also Pharma listed farms.
I have a question.
Sure. Why me? Oh.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm very impressed with your presentation, and I know Pasar kind of thing, whatever you're doing is very big in China.
Sure.
And I've seen from your presentation, I realized that you're very strong with the sourcing side. But I'm just wondering, how many customers do you presently have? How many employees do you have now? And when it comes to delivery, do you do it yourself or do you outsource in terms of delivery? If you can
Sure.
answer some questions. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Our current user base is around 2,000 to 2,500. The returning rate customer is about 66%. In terms of delivery, currently we have tried both crowdsourcing and also through our own permanent riders. So just to build the credibility and stability to the business, so right now we have our 4 permanent riders actually. We have 4 permanent riders and about 4 buyers. And also we have a list of about 30 riders which we have in our system where we also flash out jobs. So we do have a hybrid model in terms of our logistics.
So it's on demand. So depending on the number of orders coming in, we can scale really fast. But at the same time, we keep the core riders and core buyers so that we, whenever the orders are low, we just operate with that.
Yes, sir.
In terms of the pricing mechanism, how would you leverage on your price as compared to the what is called this wholesale market? I just want to ask in terms of the pricing, because obviously you guys are buying at retail price, right? As compared to those giant hypermarkets or any hypermarkets. So how would you compete in terms of pricing?
Okay, we buy at retail price from our Pasar Selayang, Pasar Coket. Guess what? That price is so much lower than what Giant and Tesco or the big supermarket is offering. So you're talking about ikan kembung could be 50 to 70% off what people are buying from Tesco and whatnot. So for example, when we did our Batang Pinang campaign during the Raya season, we bought the whole cow for 3,000 ringgit and our sales from that cow was 9,000 ringgit. So you're talking about produce, we can sometimes make up to 200% in sense of margin. So because we know our customer and because we customize our product offerings to what the customer want, so that is a big advantage for us.
And essentially we have three types of margin bandwidth. One is from off retailers, and then off wholesale, and direct from farms. So sorry?
Your proposition is more on the customization of each product.
Yes. So basically we have presence in all three tiers of the supply chain.
But average margin per order, you're talking about between 20 to 30%.
Yeah.
And people, our customer are buying everything either the same price that they get from hypermarket, supermarket, or slightly lower. So that's why we said our prices are very competitive.
And just to add, it's way cheaper than other online providers.
I'm just asking because you mentioned about cow. For me, when I go to the Pasar Tani, I just bought Batang Pinang in the last Hari Raya. Cost me, how much it cost you for a kilo of Batang Pinang?
About 40 ringgit. This is the retail price.
Just to tell you, because there are a lot more people going direct as well. I'm talking about competitive. We are talking about competitiveness. If you compare with the supermarket, definitely yours is low, but a bigger mass is they go direct to the market. I think the price is a bit.
I think as we grow, we definitely can be
We
kind
can
of a
go
more.
lower, and the service that we offer actually is that you don't have to go out of your house.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so there are also costs involved there.
Yeah.
So you need to not just monetary costs, but also time costs.
Also-
So we're going to deliver that level of convenience to you.
Also, we tried to do a small survey. One of the campaigns that we are going to do right after we get the funding is we're just going to hand out flyers at the lobby of KLCC during lunchtime. So all the Petronas people come down and then we hand out flowers. As soon as they come back to the office, they start ordering. And at 5, 6 o'clock, the van is there giving their groceries. So you're talking
Yes.
about the fact that you don't have to go to the Pasar Tani, the fact that you don't have to go to the wet market and you get grocery there. I lived 10 years in New York. That's what I did. Before I go home, I'll just tap on my iPhone app and order my groceries, and my box will be ready at the office, and then I just grab and go home. So that's the same kind of campaign that we are bringing. We are actually taking the wet market, the Pasar Tani, the farm, directly to the consumer at a very simple transaction.
Okay, I have a few questions. Because the fresh produce has a very dynamic pricing and you are dealing with a few markets around the town, I believe the pricing will be like crazy, like
Fluctuates
one
from
market,
time to
yeah,
time.
Yeah, how
Very
do you
volatile,
deal with
yeah.
it, one? And can you tell me how many orders you receive in a day, and how do you manage the riders between the different markets?
Locations.
Because there's one in Kelang, one in there's quite a distance, right? So how do you manage that? And lastly, what's the average basket size
Okay.
of the order, of an order?
Very good question.
Firstly, what was the question again? Sorry.
Price fluctuation.
Price fluctuation. Okay. Currently, the model that we're operating on is we have one staff that will do our inventory. But there are 3 types of products. So the first one is seafood. Seafood and vegetables, we need to do the inventory daily. And then for chicken, it's about 3 days to do the inventory. And also the other products is about once a week. So you're talking about, there's not many products. You know, vegetables, there's about, say, 80 products. Seafood, there's about, 20 to 30 products. So we can do the inventory. I think we've done this before. We do inventory twice a day. Because there was this one day, it was very volatile because of the weather.
Sorry, and additional to that, because it's dynamic, how do you average it out? Because
Yes.
in between,
Yes, good question.
Different market, right? So I'm sure you have different prices. How do you decide on a price for all for one product?
So we have about a margin of about 5%, so that it becomes our ceiling price, so that we have that maneuverability when suddenly the prices go up. So we take that into account, into our pricing strategy. And secondly, the question is our basket size is about 140 ringgit. And sorry, there was another question, sorry.
Yeah, the question is
Kelang,
the
Shah Alam.
Oh, Kelang Shah Alam. So currently we have our rider dashboard, which is currently still under development, but we have used it. So basically we have this algorithm that actually can manage our riders based on the
But for
location.
each pasar, we will have designated buyers
Yeah.
and designated riders.
Yeah. For sure. How many orders per day? We get about 10 to 20 orders per order currently, and our basket size is about 140 ringgit per order, average.
Just to add on the lady's question, because you have several buyers, you have average prices fluctuation. One day when you go a bit bigger, what's to in terms of what's to stop some of your buyers from trying to get some cut out of the buyers, right? I mean from the markets themselves. Now you're smaller, right?
Yep.
You can control everything,
Yep.
but you want to scale up big time.
Yep.
All of a sudden, this guy want to cut a side deal with this market guy. Give a lot of problems. How do you address that?
Okay, number one, as we get bigger, our margins also will get bigger because we will, guarantee volume to our supplier. That's number one. And number two, moving forward, to actually lower our costs, we're going to eliminate the role of our shoppers because we're going straight to our suppliers. Currently, they understand the business model and they understand the needs and wants of our consumer. So they are still in the adaptability phase where they need to, use the system, one thing, and to actually, sell the right amount of, not right amount, or the right quality of produce. Yeah.
I think also at that stage, we will have to install a quality control, price control mechanism to our ecosystem. So we have thought of that already. Of course, small nuts and bolts of the business need to consistently be developed and making it more efficient, making more transparent. So I think as we go along, because of our expertise across the board, we will be able to install that.
Can I just ask about how do you ensure the quality during the delivery? Because actually my real question is, what is your return policy? What is your return policy if the product is spoiled when it comes to the customer?
Okay, currently our return policy is very liberal. To build trust and credibility and to actually guarantee freshness, our return policy is our utmost importance. Say if you were to complain about damaged goods or some of the products not fresh, our return policy is that we will either refund your money for the damaged goods or we will return the damaged products to you within 2 hours. And currently we have about 10% among our total consumer or total sales that involve returned products.
Have you experienced that before?
Yes, we have. Not freshness of the products, but eggs, and that's why we need to really install a very good delivery box. Currently, we are experimenting with a few type of boxes. Yeah.
Any more questions? All right. Well, what if you guys need to interact with the PasaTap team after the whole presentation, we'll have a networking session, so you can ask them directly. Yeah, the questions. All right, I'll hand it back over to Kiri.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're next. Who's next? No. Right. Good. I hope you enjoyed that. I think the thing about with companies like PasaTap is they're tapping onto this evolution, if you like, or mass urbanization that we're experiencing now, and also the fact that people value convenience. I think they've delivered that very, very well. Okay. Now the next company. This company is probably all the companies you'll see today use technology, but this is really a real technology company. They are in a space. I don't want to take the thunder away from Mark's presentation, but they're in a space that's probably the most exciting technology to emerge since the internet. We recognize it. We support it. In fact, we're one of the early users of their technology, and I'll be telling you a little bit more about how we use their technology. Now, it is quite a technical space, and I know a lot of you haven't heard of or are aware of, familiar with the technology. So what we're going to do is, rather than me talking about it, or trying, and I'm not a non-technical person, is a little short video to introduce distributed ledger or blockchains. Thank you.
Modern technology allows people to communicate directly. Voice and video calls, emails, pictures and instant messages travel directly from A to B, maintaining trust between individuals no matter how far apart they are. When it comes to money, people have to trust a third party to be able to complete a transaction. Blockchain technology is challenging the status quo in a radical way. By using math and cryptography, blockchain provides an open, decentralized database of any transaction involving value, money, goods, property, work, or even votes, creating a record whose authenticity can be verified by the entire community. The future global economy will move towards one of distributed property and trust, where anyone with access to the internet can get involved in blockchain-based transactions, and third-party trust organizations may no longer be necessary. The uses of blockchain technology are endless. Some expect that in less than 10 years it will be used to collect taxes. It will make it easier for immigrants to send money back to countries where access to financial institutions is limited. Financial fraud will be significantly reduced, as every transaction will be recorded on a public and distributed ledger, which will be accessible by anyone who has an internet connection. Think of it as wills and contracts that execute themselves, or dated proof of existence for ideas, much like a patent. Blockchain will become a global, decentralized source of trust, but not everyone is ready to embrace it. A huge proportion of trust services, from banking to notaries, will face challenges on price, volume, and in some cases, their very survival. Public authorities could find it more and more difficult to enforce traditional financial regulations due to the new possibilities offered by the Bitcoin network to bypass traditional financial intermediaries. Unimagined new networks will evolve to meet society's needs more cheaply and potentially more securely. Will governments, financial and legal institutions embrace blockchain? What will happen to the ones who don't?
Mark?
Maybe I don't need to pitch now that you've seen the video. So, apa khabar, ni hao ma, and thanks for coming. My name's Mark, and I'd like to introduce you to Neuroware. But before I do that, I think I first need to briefly introduce you to blockchains. Also known as distributed ledgers, they're the technology that's securely powering digital currencies such as Bitcoin and Ethereum. And they have the likes of Bill Gates, Mark Andreessen, and Sir Richard Branson all claiming that it's the most important technology since the internet. So it's really no surprise that over 60 banks have started working on blockchain projects this year, and $1 billion has gone into the ecosystem just this year alone. Although PwC clearly believe that blockchains are already disrupting the fintech ecosystem, it's the broader functionality of having immutable, tamper-proof data that can be independently shared and verified with third parties that really affects all kinds of industries. From e-commerce and IoT to healthcare and law, you know, blockchains are really disrupting much more than just fintech. So we've been dealing with operators in both the ECF space and trade finance, and we've come to discover that most of their problems stem from one of two issues. There's either multiple parties all kind of maintaining their own version of the truth, or the need to rely upon some slow and costly financial trustee service for handling escrow payments. And it's this lack of trust in the old way of doing things that's really stifling innovation within the fintech ecosystem at the moment. So although I've been living in Malaysia almost as long as my co-founder Ruben, I actually grew up in a small town in Borneo called Miri. So my wife and children are Sarawakian, and we kind of have a vested interest in ensuring financial inclusion for the entire nation. This notion of sharing and educating is something that Ruben and I have been doing for the past decade now. Although I've been building blockchain applications for over 5 years personally, it actually took international investment and a 6-month trip from Silicon Valley to Silicon Roundabout to launch our first developer tools at TechCrunch Disrupt in London. After launching the tools, we quickly returned home to get started on the real work. We first decided to gather a team of advisors to help us better understand the industries that our products and services could be used for. And although we've kind of accomplished several impressive milestones, the one that really stands out to me is our work with DBS in Singapore for the world's first bank-backed blockchain hackathon. Because it was during this event that we really got to discover what it was that people needed. Working very closely with the DBS contestants at the hackathon, we started to develop our core protocols, these free-based foundations. Because we developed them as protocols rather than final solutions, they remain agnostic, could be worked upon any chain. They kind of act as a bridge, communication layer between the different distributed ledgers. So it's these protocols and frameworks that we've been developing over the past 2 years that's enabled us to launch our first enterprise product, Cortex. It's a unified control panel for managing multiple blockchains and their various distributed protocols. It's powered by the world's first blockchain-based database, which is just one of the many modules it has available. Since it can function within a serverless environment, it can be embedded anywhere that supports HTML, from a refrigerator to a mobile device, even a Facebook application. It's fitting that our first client is Apple Plus, and that we're now using their blockchain-based ECF platform to raise funds of our own. Because as a technologist, it's comforting to know that my company data stored with Apple Plus can never be lost, altered, or corrupted in any way. We spent the past 9 months dedicated to training and educating organizations throughout the region, from Maybank to DBS, Securities Commission of Malaysia and Bank Negara, to more recently with our work at MDEC and the Ministry of Finance. But it's now time to commercialize upon all that hard work that we've been doing, which is why we're trying to raise 2 million at a 12 million valuation to triple the size of our team and start our marketing efforts. Since we already have an active pipeline in place, we feel we can hit the ground running and potentially be profitable within the first year. Terima kasih, and thanks for listening.
Yeah. Any questions, please?
Yeah.
So we're a technology vendor, really, at heart, and the technology that we provide can be used in any industry.
Any particular industry, the
Yeah.
immediate industry that you are targeting at?
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time in the fintech space for the past 6 to 9 months. We've been talking to ECF operators, trade finance, Islamic finance, loyalty rewards, unit trusts, this kind of stuff.
How would they apply this? I'm trying to understand how it would be applied, and I mean over the long run, how would it be adopted by people at large?
I mean, it's really important for anybody that's sharing data. If you've got your own ecosystem and you're not having to share that data, you don't have multiple entities or multiple branches in different countries, you usually don't have a problem because you can trust your own data. But when there's multiple parties are involved, or you have multiple branches in different countries, you all end up having your own versions of the truth. At the moment, we use centralized databases, and everybody has to have their own database because nobody trusts each other. what blockchains have been able to do is create a way to allow anybody to sort of work together without needing to trust each other, because they can trust the mathematics behind how this thing works. So it's like a publicly shared database that everybody can tap into, rather than everybody needing their own. And that prevents reconciliation, it lowers human error, reduces costs, etc.
Last question. How do you deal with the regulation, especially with the Bank Negara Malaysia, and then the exchange of information between banks? Is there a need for to get to pass through the Bank Negara's regulation or approval?
Yeah, well, fortunately, the first time I was in communication with Bank Negara was actually about 2 or 3 years ago. Since then, we've been meeting with them every 6 months or so. They're currently working on new frameworks for the industry. And in regards to regulation, I mean, the banks and Bank Negara have spent the past 5 years trying to get the cloud approved, and now banks can use the cloud. Because of all that hard work they've been doing on that, I think things are going to be moving a lot quicker now, and we should be hearing some official remarks from Bank Negara and Securities Commission within the next few months.
Mark, can you just maybe illustrate one banking example of how blockchain can be applied, for example, like in settlements or something like that? Or
well, so I mean, the fundamental cool thing with a Bitcoin transaction is that for the first time in history, the transference and the settlement occur at the same time, because everyone's using the same ledger. At the moment, when we do transactions in the real world, there's this illusion that it's in real time. But the truth of the matter is, it takes 3 or 4 days. And there's countless reconciliation problems in the process because everybody's keeping their own ledger. They have to keep their own ledger because there's no way for them to trust each other. With blockchains, we all use the same ledger. And so the very notion of accounting, for example, I mean, that's going to be an obsolete term in a few years from now. We only have accounting as an industry at the moment because we have to, because we can't trust each other's ledgers. If everybody's using one ledger, there is nothing to account for. And so the very accounting industry itself will be one of the first to go.
Yeah, and with smart contracts, they can actually be automated, so it's in real time, so to speak.
Yeah.
Sorry, is it possible to have your product parked in a VPN in a private network?
Yeah. So we have two versions. We have a hosted version for SMEs and medium size, and an on-premise enterprise solution as well.
So if it's in a VPN, how do you charge? How do you charge the client?
So the SME hosted plan is $20,000 US a year, and the enterprise product is $200,000 a year.
So we take care of the infra and the storage, and you take care of the algorithm, the application side, is it?
Kind of. It gets a little bit technical. There's when you break it down, there's 2 parts to the program. The product, there's kind of a front end and a back end. When you're dealing with blockchains, you need to you can't deal necessarily directly with a blockchain. You need to abstract that through maybe an API of some kind. And so some people require to run their own API, and that can become a bit resourceful, or our product actually plugs into other people's APIs. We not only have the world's first blockchain agnostic protocols, but they're also data neutral, meaning you can use any existing data provider or any off-the-shelf API solution or our own proprietary API solutions. The choice is yours.
Any more questions?
Thank you.
Okay, so we can talk to Mark later if you have any more burning questions. All right. Thank you, Mark.
I hope you enjoyed that introduction to blockchain. I think for a lot of you it's new. Okay. Now the third company, again another company that's innovating, if you like, or the use of technology. They're in a very unique space as well, and I think they're tapping into something that we think is going to become increasingly more important. We talked about like lots of new companies emerging and the growth of entrepreneurship. But at the same time, we're moving into is into hyper competition, if you like. There's lots of the same thing, and what we think at the Plusfuels is that in the future, what will become more important, the differentiator will be not so much what you do, but how you do it. And what they have is a measurable social impact, a measurable way to measure social impact. And I think that's going to become very, very key to any organization moving forward into the future. Okay, so without further ado, I'd like to introduce the voice from Scholar Fund. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and good morning. My name is Shakir and I'm the co-founder of Scholar Fund. We are into the business of financing university education. The problem that Scholar Fund is tackling is a two-sided problem. On one side, we have millions of undergraduates from middle and lower income families who find it difficult to just pay for their university education cost due to two primary reasons. Reason number one, there are limited number of scholarships currently available and not all scholarships go to students who are truly in need. And secondly, there is a lack of access to student loans, especially in the developing countries. And just as an interesting fact, a country as huge as Indonesia doesn't have a commercialized student loan program, and that is a huge opportunity. On the other hand, we have a host of people, organizations, and companies with the money who are willing and able to provide funding for the higher educational pursuits of these undergraduates. However, the sponsors here find it difficult to identify the students who are truly in need, and there is no simple and direct way to provide that funding to the students in need. With that, we acknowledge today that there is a huge gap between these two groups of people that needs to be bridged. And that is why we came up with Scholar Fund. Scholar Fund is a web platform that enables undergraduates to crowdsource their own scholarships from individuals, corporates, and philanthropy organizations. We have two main features that we have rolled out. Number one is crowdfunded scholarship. This is a success story on our platform. Chenny needed 10,000 ringgit to complete her last 2 semesters in school. And what she did was she started a crowdfunding campaign on our platform detailing why she needs to raise this 10,000 ringgit. And she got support of 285 people who sent her to school. And that was awesome for us and for her too. So what Scholar Fund do is we verify these campaigns, these students, check their pay slips, their parents' pay slips, their matriculation card, offer letter, make sure that they are a real student. And all the crowd-funded tuition fees, we pay out directly to the universities. And the second feature is called Create a Scholarship. So we have many SME companies and smaller size philanthropies, find a hassle to set up a foundation. So what these people can do, like SME companies and philanthropies, they can create their own scholarship. This is another real success story on our platform. So Shazan Azura, a student in the US, she started a 15,600 ringgit scholarship on our platform, detailing who she's looking for. So we got almost 100 applicants for her scholarship, and she disbursed it successfully on our platform. Scholar Fund is in the ecosystem of a number of key players in higher education financing. We have the education loans by MARA and PTPTN. We also have the scholarships and bursaries from these traditional big players. And we also have the crowdfunding sites like Simply Giving, Kitabisa in Indonesia. These guys are donation-based crowdfunding sites, and they have received venture capital funding. How does Scholar Fund differentiate itself in this crowdfunding space? One, we verify all our students. Right now, if you go to another crowdfunding site, you can almost be sure that any Tom, Dick, or Harry can create a crowdfunding platform. On Scholar Fund, we are very strict about verification because we are in the business of trust. And secondly, like I mentioned earlier, all crowdfunded tuition fees are paid out directly to the universities. We don't want a case where students raise funds and use it for other things. Lastly, gone are the days where we put money into a donation box, not knowing exactly where the money ends up. On Scholar Fund, you know exactly who you're funding, what that money is being used for, and how far your sponsorship has gone to change someone's life. The higher education industry in Southeast Asia and India, where we are targeting, is an industry worth 160 billion US dollars. This is how much people are paying to go to universities, and this number will only increase. Currently, how we make money is we charge a 5% sponsorship fee for any corporates, SMEs, or individuals sponsoring students on our platform, and we're going to add more in the future. There's 4 of us right now working on Scholar Fund, a very good balance of business and technical guys. We're one of the 10 financial technology startups who graduated from Startup Bootcamp FinTech, who was also our pre-seed investor slightly more than a year ago. So we've been in the market about one year plus ago. More than 300,000 ringgit has been pledged. These are by individuals, companies, philanthropies. We have more than 5,000 sponsors on our platform who already signed up. So you may ask, how are we getting people to our platform? One is social media. Our biggest traffic contributor is Twitter. We have the likes of Datuk Fazli Yaakob and Imran Ajmain, 2 celebrities here in Malaysia, who believe in our cause and help spread the word about Scholar Fund. We're also developing a strong corporate partnership with Maybank, which will see their customers become sponsors on our platform in the near future. We can't live without the university partnerships. These are the people sending students to us who needs funding. The plan going forward is we don't want to just be a crowdfunding site. it's just a start. Create Scholarship is one feature that we newly launched. In the future, what we are looking to is peer-to-peer loans for education loans. We are building a wallet for students to receive this scholarship money and better track their money. And lastly, we also want to open up crowdfunding to other parts of education, meaning students want to do projects, universities need a new walkway, stuff like that. So today we are raising 300,000 ringgit, which will mostly be spent on developing more products, which means hiring more engineers, build all these products. We want to expand to also Brunei and also Indonesia, where we see bigger opportunities. Yeah, and this is how the money is going to be spent. The vision for Scholar Fund is huge. We want to be the biggest higher education financing platform in Asia. With that, I would like to invite all of you here to join Scholar Fund in this journey of enabling higher education. Thank you.
Questions?
I missed for your 300,000 that you're planning to raise.
Yeah.
300, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. For how many percent? Or is it equity, or is it just reward, or is it feel good?
Oh, no.
What's your
So we're looking to raise 300,000 ringgit at a 10% equity. Yeah.
So you're giving out equity of your company?
Definitely, yeah. So we gave out equity for the first pre-seed investor. We got 8% today.
Any more questions? Next.
How do you decide on the students that for the research, or how do you filter it? Is there any specific criteria, benchmark, or whatever?
Yeah, so what we do when a student starts a campaign on our platform or applies for a scholarship, we also have basic documents to verify. Matriculation card and stuff like and an offer letter. We ask for 2 referrals, faculty in the university. We also ask for parents' payslip, which are certified true copies. So what we do is we add up this amount and make sure that it's below the median income in Malaysia, or in Kuala Lumpur for that matter, so that only these students will be allowed to crowdfund their scholarships on our platform.
The other thing is when
Kiri,
how
sorry,
do you
sorry.
verify?
Sorry, sekejap, Jamal. Kiri, you can hear you.
Sorry.
So how do you verify a student is not generating multiple income streams through this? And you've checked the academic, genuine, whether they're genuine or not. But how do you check that they're not generating extra income somewhere from this kind of?
Okay, so what we do is when the students start the campaign, there's an agreement with the students. They have to declare whether they have already been a recipient of MARA scholarship, other scholarships.
Okay, so it's based on an honor system rather than you spending your resources verifying it. Because this is a lot of work,
Definitely.
verifying all these things.
So one is definitely trust. Secondly, is the contract is already there. So if in a case where someone highlights to us that the student is lying to us, or they've received other sort of funding, we can choose to take legal action or ask them to return the money to prevent such action taking place on them. So the agreement is this, yes.
How you talk about low to medium income families? How do you define that?
Yeah, so when we launched in KL for this for what we have been doing, we identified the median salary of the families in Kuala Lumpur. So when we added these payslips that they give out, we determine whether they fall into the low income families. If they don't, we will ask them further reasons why your father earns more than this amount, but still you need funding. But really, that case rarely happens.
Yeah, that's my question. Like medium income families, how much are you talking about medium?
Yeah, so the national medium for Malaysia is 6,100 household income, per month. Yeah, so we based on this benchmark, and like Shakir mentioned, if the students fall below this this limit, we allow them to immediately crowdfund. But if they are above this limit, we require them to justify why are they crowdfunding such and such. Yeah, what are they for? Yeah, all of it is transparent on the page.
You showed 2 real examples, which is impressive. Well done. How many candidates did you list? I mean, out of the of your pool of candidates, what's the success ratio, if you like? Okay. For those that reach 100% funding.
Yeah, so we have launched 50 campaigns, and 35 of them receive full scholarship.
100%?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Over what span of time? Sorry.
So 1 year.
Yeah. For 1 year
August last year to
fundraising
August.
campaign for each.
Sorry, Jamal, you meant a fundraising campaign for each student. How
Oh.
long? How long? Not Sekolah Fund.
Okay. So per campaign, we allow them to crowdfund 30 days.
30 days.
Yeah. To create that sense of urgency, and to make sure they focus, this limited time on fundraising and other time on school.
So now you've given me a hint that you've been in business for 1 year.
Correct, that's true.
What's your profitability and revenue like?
Revenue. So we crowdfunded about 300,000 ringgit. We take 5% of that. That's the revenue.
That's the revenue. And
Yes.
profitability?
No, we are not profitable yet. We're still running on the investment that we raised. Yeah.
But surely you know how much losses you're making.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
How
Yeah.
much? How many percent?
Well, our whole team is in-house, so
Yeah, we haven't actually been taking any salaries yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
been
So
just bootstrapping
very
the company.
lean, super lean company right now.
Yeah, I'm staying with my parents.
And when are you? you should crowdfund anyway. But so what kind of time frame are you looking at to break even? For example, I mean, based on your run rate and based on your. I mean, you're planning to expand to Indonesia, etc.
So this is what it takes for us to break even. 60 campaigns per month successful from Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Brunei, and then 30 scholarships created monthly. So this is our target, and total sponsorship volume of 300k US dollar per month. So we think this, to break even. So I think this is quite achievable because one of the things that we are doing is that we realize many people come back every month without us telling them. So we ask them, want to put them on recurring. So we take out 100 ringgit from their bank every month. We send them a report. Hey, you funded this kid from UM. This is his background. So so we can at least hit that 300k. Yeah.
Okay, last question.
Sure.
Who's your main competitor?
So there is the other crowdfunding sites. One is simplygiving.com. They are donation-based crowdfunding site. That's one. Another one is Kita Bisa in Indonesia. Both of them are VC backed. One Series A, one seed stage. Yeah. So, but those guys focus more on broad donation-based crowdfunding. We want to master this education space and own it. So maybe one day we can look for an exit, or maybe we can scale up further. So the problem about this space is that most of the impact investors, they invest at Series A. So what they do is they write $1 million US checks. But then there are no seed investors at this stage. So I must raise 2 pre-seed to at least even dream of hitting that Series A. So that's our game right now. Yeah.
No, I think you're in the right track, to be honest, because we all know that scholarships are getting less and less available, right? So it's a good effort. We wish you the best, and we'll catch you up afterwards.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, there's one question.
Sorry, you mentioned that quite a big portion of your funding requirement will be for product development.
Yep.
You mean that to be, as part of what you showed just now, the wallet? Is that what you're trying to do with the 60% of the funding requirement?
So okay, thank you for your question. When we raise the 300k, we will stop at create scholarships. So what we'll do is we will do all these things at our Series A when we raise that $1 million or more from these other investors in the future round. But why we need that 300k is because we need to do things like localizing the website to different countries. That's one. Another one is one build a student rating system. So now when students submit a campaign, we have campaign managers reading the campaigns, telling the scholarship creator, hey, this student is the best based on these reasons. But this process is very tedious. So we want to create an algorithm called the scholar rating system that automatically generate a score for a student based on the income level, academic grades, and their university that they come from, how successful they're going to be in the future. We're going to predict a score and tell the sponsor this student is 9.9 out of 10, most likely to be a successful and most needy student, for them to get a scholarship. So these are some technologies we're building with this 300,000 ringgit.
Right.
This will be post Series A.
Are those new technologies, as you mentioned, will those assist in you meeting the break-even point?
Definitely, I think, because once we can filter students very quickly, we can immediately push out the bad campaigns, ask them and tell them why they are rejected, so that they can improve and hit a higher score in the future. So what you'll see is like only good campaigns being launched. So that's our aim. We want to launch campaigns that people say, hey, what is this one-liner? I need a scholarship because my father is poor. So we want them to really justify why they deserve a scholarship. Yeah. So I think that will help us scale faster. Yeah, thank you.
Yes. say students,
Yeah.
Going to enroll. When you say students going to enroll, already enrolled, about to finish, or where? When you say a student, to me a student can be primary 1 all the way up to final year.
Okay.
Where is your main slice of target market at the moment?
We experimented a bit when we started, when we realized that the appetite for sponsors is for bachelor student doing a bachelor's degree. We only,
Just out of the blue,
Yeah.
You're talking to different companies, Maybanks, Petronas, and probably different ones.
Yeah.
They have a need. They're looking for talents.
Definitely.
Tapping into that talent, finding that talent.
Yeah.
Have you thought about where to interject what they're looking for with what's available out there? Meaning to say, you're looking at the ones that are already enrolled in universities. What about the ones coming out from Form 1 all the way up to Form 5? Accessing those because, just to give you an idea, I've been with a company where they are genuinely looking for talents out there, and they want to sponsor even from the A-level onwards. So before students reach and finish their SPM, Form 4, Form 5.
Yeah.
Have you thought about that slice of the market, meaning to say, what's available out there and matching it with companies that are looking for, then managing their own scholarships? Is there a strategy, a thought about that, tapping into that slice of the market?
Yeah, not yet for now. Definitely, if we can catch them early on, it would be amazing. But right now, what we see is that we need students who can put up a campaign out there and like sort of fight for their own scholarship. And like students who are in year 1, year 2, year 3, they are the most desperate for a scholarship, and hence they are willing to do what it takes to get a scholarship. But I totally agree with you that we should catch them on earlier. I think that can be taken as a strategy when we go to countries like Indonesia, as we expand here.
One, just, I don't know if this is a valid remark or comment or idea.
Sure.
One part of it is what you're doing is creating a platform potentially for companies instead of individually managing the scholarship, because the biggest task about scholarship management is using their own resources to access the talents out there that are coming up. You talk about selling it to them in terms of talent attraction, talent retention. That's got to be something that you got to put, because that way, when you talk about profitability, when you talk about viability, sustainability of the business, give a thought about how to manage this for companies where they've got a lot more resources and they see the value than running it internally, but having someone else giving them a lot more access into. That's probably what you want to hold them at.
Exactly.
Okay, so I don't know, maybe.
Maybe as a short response on that point, when we promote the Create Scholarship, we take the talent angle. So of the 21 companies, 15 of those scholarships are by IT companies, SME companies who are looking for IT talents. They specifically say, I want students from computer engineering, computer science to apply. So we take the angle for Create Scholarship. As for companies wanting to outsource, there is a definitely good market, because we talked to one big company in the last 2 weeks. They spend about 300,000 ringgit just to manage a scholarship and doesn't bring money to the company. And we said, okay, one day we'll make you, just pay 100,000 ringgit and we do everything for you. So there is also another big market for us to play. But right now, due to our limited resources, we have to really focus on crowdfunding and Create Scholarship. Because once we create that product for companies, there's an entire B2B sales cycle that we have to go through. But we can do that if we have money in the future in Series A. But yeah, so right now, this is our focus.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your idea. Oh, there's one more.
There's one more question over there.
Hi, good morning. I think I can give in some feedback for the gentleman just now regarding the talent for the companies. Actually, there are several psychological tests out there that you can identify these students they just fill in the forms and you can get a score from there, because I think it's very important. Actually, in the framework right now, you want certain people to work with you. You have pools of people who are already graduated, but when you interview them, they can't do anything. So, I mean, that's common for us. So what you can do is that you identify these students, potential students, get them to do the psychological test. JPA did that before. My father was in charge of that, that's why I know. So you can pick these people and groom them. There'll be an added benefit to all those people who are actually giving them scholarships. So I think you need to expand on that, because that's what the market is looking for at the moment. And then a few questions that I'd like to ask is, you're only talking about undergraduates, but how about those students who don't really fare well, but they need the money? Primary school all the way up to postgraduate. I was in Indonesia some time back, so I noticed that they have so many students there, and they have to sell land, they have to sell their stock, talking about cows, whatever they have in the village, just to put them through primary school. So when you have this program, which I think is a very good idea, you need to expand it. Maybe you have to have slots. One slot is for undergraduate, the other one is for primary school, the other one for postgraduate, that sort of thing. That's what you need to build up. And as I see it, this 300,000 might not be enough, because you have to put a lot of considerations. One is building up the database through the psychological assessment. You also need the counseling. You need people to interview these students, these potential candidates who might one day become a CEO of some big company later on. So you need to look into that. And the other question is that if, like you were saying just now, that the students are given 30 days to campaign. Let's say it's not enough to reach their target. What do you do? Okay, that's all.
With regards to the first questions, on your suggestion to do the psychological test and to have this talent-based system management and so on, those are definitely the potential that we can achieve. The reason why we started with this and not primary and secondary school education is that as a startup with limited resources, these are the things that can scale at the moment. These are things with little friction. We considered starting with primary school and secondary school. However, a concern that came out was that we need to ensure verification on these students. With regards to the secondary university students, they are above 18. They are able to start their own campaign and so on. With regards to primary and secondary school, we will need a third party to do it, and that's another concern for the sponsors. What if the person representing the students actually abuse the money and so on? So those are some of the concerns that was raised and some of the things that we considered.
So the second question was, what happens if the campaign fails? So for us right now, it's all or nothing. So we tell students, you want a scholarship, you make sure you work for it, promote your campaign. We give them the maths. An average sponsor gives 20 ringgit. You need 1,000 ringgit. You count yourself how many sponsors you need. A conversion rate on our platform between 3 to 5%. So you try and think how many people you need to drive to the campaign. Because we wanted to do without all or nothing, meaning you raise 1 ringgit, so you bring in 1 ringgit. But we are very worried because students will just abuse the platform. They just create any campaign and then they get whatever money they get. We don't want that kind of students. We want students who are brave, who are courageous, who can sell their story and really take control of their own campaign. So that is why we do all or nothing. But we feel sad when we see students with 60% and they fail. So what we are doing right now is we're talking to the big companies who are spending millions of ringgit on 20 scholarships per year. We tell them, why don't you take 2 million ringgit out? Park with Sekolah Fund. Campaigns that hit certain criteria that you set, but hit 70%, you top up. So for example, if you are Petronas came in to save a day for this kid to go to school. That's an awesome marketing mileage for your company. So these are in talks with some of the companies that we are talking to right now. So yeah, there are a lot of opportunities for space. Not many competitors, so it's quite fun.
The first opportunity you should do is talk to Neuroware.
Yes. We've talked last week.
Make sure the money goes to the right people. Spend it on the right employees.
It's a very transparent system there.
And trust.
Yes. Trust. Most important, trust. And being Muslims, a lot of people want to give.
Exactly.
So pusat zakat,
Absolutely.
funds and these sort of things are definitely handy for them.
Let me share a very interesting stat. The 2014 World Giving Report put Southeast Asia as one of the most giving regions in the world. Myanmar is number 1 in the world.
Really?
Malaysia is number 7. Philippines, Indonesia are all in the top 30.
We're good at taking.
Sorry, where did you get these statistics from?
World Giving Report.
World Giving Report.
Oh,
Yeah.
evening report.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Conducted
Didn't know
by.
this session.
Organized the report.
UNICEF.
No, the organization itself is the World Giving Report. So,
Yeah, but
yeah.
UNICEF verified.
I don't know if UNICEF verified. Yeah. Oh, that's one question.
Okay. Can you walk us through or please a bit of brief on the partnership that you are working on? What's the status and what do you intend to do with them? So I think it's a good idea. If those partnerships come in, it should go up very quickly. So I guess, for example, Maybank, right? What's the status and what do you intend to do with them?
So the status right now is we going through some what do you call it, due diligence and what is it? There are some criteria that we need to fulfill to become a partner to Maybank. So we're going through that process. I cannot confirm what is going to happen, but what we wish will happen is that, like I said earlier, out of the whatever million that they have for scholarships, take some of them, put it on Scholar Fund to save students who are going to fail, or create new scholarships, for example. Because these companies, they have 2 sets of scholarship, one to get talent, one is to help the community. So the easier one is the latter, to help the community. So that is the one that we're going for first. So that is one. We have that is for the money side, but for the student side, is just going to the universities, partner with them. We tried the finance division of the university, it doesn't work. We go to the student representative council. We just keep trying these two ways to get to universities. Yeah, and we onboard more celebrities in the future to drive more sponsors.
Shakir, is any more corporate sponsorships, corporate partnerships in the pipeline?
Another one is also with Hong Leong Bank. We also working with them. Get a soft commitment of some funds to be part with us.
Shell.
Yeah. Yeah, we're also talking to Shell. So yeah, these 3 corporate partnerships. Oh, yes.
Is there any bond that ties the student to the sponsor? If there is any significant sponsor for that particular student?
Okay, so for right now we don't have. If it's a crowdfunding campaign, everyone is equal. They just have to submit a report every 6 months, every semester. But for the Create Scholarship, the creator got the rights to put in bonds. So like the SME companies, they want the students to work for them, yeah, they can put that in. And prepare the documents for them to sign, and then the students work for them. And if they break bond, there's some things to pay out, things like that. Yeah. SME companies create a scholarship, they get tax deductibility. Yeah. So that's also awesome for SME companies.
Right. Okay, I think if there's no more questions, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much. Now, we do have one more presentation. Mban wants to do a short presentation to us. Very quick, just very quick talk. But before that, what I want to do is, and to follow up to Scholar Fund thing, is actually announce initiative from us, ATAPlus ourselves. One of the things that if you like, one of our agendas in doing equity crowdfunding is actually to help projects like theirs or businesses like theirs that have a social impact. So I'm proud to announce, or I'm very happy to announce that we're actually launching for investors who make investments in social impact projects or enterprises like themselves, we'll be issuing a digital token. It's called a Do Good Note. And investors can redeem, we will fill you in with details of how you can use this digital token, but it'll be within, if you like, a network of similar types of enterprises, social impact enterprises, and also some corporate partners of ours like MDEC and who are the others? MDEC, there's a few others and everything else, and maybe 1 or 2 telcos as well. Oh yes, Magic and so forth. Okay, so that this is as far as I know, it's and obviously we're using the blockchain technology for this. As far as I know, it's the first of its kind in the world. Like I said, we're very happy to support social impact enterprises in this way. Okay, so I'd like to call Mman to give us a very, very brief presentation to you guys. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, can you hear me? Hi, my name is Sanjeev and I'm from Cradle Fund and the Malaysian Business Angels Network. But today I'm here representing Malaysian Business Angels Network, MBank for short, just to share with you on who we are and what we do. So firstly, getting my eyes. Firstly, MBank is the trade association and governing body for angel investors in Malaysia. I have seen, I think, one or two of you at our events before, and we currently have up to 140 members, all of whom are high net worth or high income individuals. So high net worth individuals are defined as those who possess a minimum of 3 million ringgit in assets, or high income earners, they earn 180k a year. And things we do is, firstly, is represent deals to angels. We host a monthly pitching session where we invite our partners and potential angels and our members. And this is especially useful if you're an angel who doesn't have maybe the time or the network to source for deals, but you have the financial power. Another thing we do is we host workshops. So just a couple of months ago, we hosted an angel investor workshop where we shared. We invited a speaker from India, a very experienced angel investor, to sort of take a deep dive into angel investing. So, term sheets, how do you exit, things like that. And last thing we do is we advocate for policies which benefit the investing public. And just one more thing I want to share between Cradle Fund and MBank is the Angel Tax Incentive Program. So this program was founded by the Ministry of Finance Malaysia, and the whole point of this is to spur early stage investments. And basically the gist of it is angel investors can get a tax break of up to 500,000 ringgit per annum, 2 years after their investment. So there are three parts to this. Firstly, an angel investor registers himself with us and invests into a company which is registered with Cradle Fund, and after 2 years he gets a tax break for the amount invested. So a very short example is, let's say in year 2016, I as an angel investor invest 200,000 ringgit into startup A. So I hold a share for 2 years, and when I'm billed for when I go to file my personal income tax, let's say I'm taxed for 300,000 ringgit. But because I invested 200,000 ringgit, I need to pay 100,000 ringgit in tax. So that's briefly about us and what we do, and yeah, that's all from me. Do you have any questions?
Well, if you have any questions, you can meet them outside, all right? And okay, that's the end of the morning session. Okay, we have refreshments, and also you can further interact with the entrepreneurs. But just so you know, in a folder, there is a little card. If you would like to have more information or interact further later with the different entrepreneurs, please indicate, let us know, all right? That's number one. Number two, if you need validation on your parking ticket, across the hall, there's the Content Malaysia Center. Just get your parking ticket stamped, and it's just 10 ringgit flat, okay? All right. Other than that, we actually, if any of your other friends or partners or colleagues who wants to listen in to the sessions today, because we have exactly similar sessions in the afternoon and evening, we actually have live YouTube video streaming for this event, for those who are off-site, who are not in the country, who wanted to listen, or across somewhere in the world, who wants to view this, the companies and the pitches today. All right, thank you very much for coming. We have coffee and some refreshments outside. Thank you. Thanks again.